All right, guys. Hey, we're back for episode 3 of our Coaches Huddle. We're back with Coach Nick Thompson from Max, North Dakota. And today we're going to talk about middle school PE and implementing simplified, standards-based training along with uh, middle school PE. So, talking about that balance of getting some training in while also letting them be kids and, being gentle with ourselves too, not trying to fix every problem every day because things are crazy enough for us as teachers and coaches as well as the kids. So I think Nick's a great one for this one. So Nick, you want to give us the kind of your background, or not your background, but the overview of your middle school situation in Max?
Okay. So our middle school is seventh and eighth graders. I get them together. So combined is 21 kids. Then the freshmen, I have 9 kids, and that's actually it for like high school, junior high PE. Other than that, if they want to take a PE credit, they take weight training with me, which obviously that's easy for like we're talking about the training stuff. But I would like to implement the little bit of training, a little bit of lifting into my seventh and eighth as well as my freshmen. And like we've talked to, I got kids sprinkled in both grades that take the weight training classes with me. So like I was trying to figure out how to implement that when they're like, do I want them lifting twice a day? Do I want them being like assistant strength coaches and stuff like that? And we had talked about that a little bit. So like I said, I want them to get more physical activity, if that makes sense, versus just doing as like circuit training. Like that gets boring. And
Mhm.
we've done it. The kids are doing great with it, and we've tweaked little things. I made it to where they're doing like weighted squats versus just doing air squats and weighted lunges and like weighted curls. Just adding little things. And even we took our circuit to the weight room and stuff
Mhm.
now. But like I feel like they need more. At the same time, too, I was thinking about this. Like, say a kid misses, for instance, if they miss one of my weight training classes, well, they can hit their lift during PE.
Mhm.
So just trying to think about the most efficient way to implement this. And then, again, I'm gonna try to do it next week. We'll see how that goes. But
Yeah. So yeah, I mean my thoughts there. I mean, seventh and eighth graders, I think they're right in that middle ground where they are still kids, but they
mm-hmm,
are they are either pretending to be older or they really just want to be seen as older. So I
mm-hmm,
think that's the great place to test them and say, hey, let's see where you're at. Like let's do what the older kids do. And in our own head, we know we're going to be extra careful. We're going to be extra light. We have plenty of time to develop them. They have
yep,
not hit a growth spurt yet. It's not 50 years ago. Well, it's still happening, but it's not the old days where you're worried about, growth plates and it's going to stunt their growth. And all. People still say that, and I don't get that. I mean, coming from a farm area like you, I mean, it's like it's all resistance training, right? Like any kid that's doing the farm stuff, like, okay, I think we said that before on one of our other ones, but
yeah,
okay, they can lift hay or they can lift heavy equipment, but they can't lift a barbell or a dumbbell. That makes no
right,
sense. That's
right,
just people who weren't really sure what the heck was going on, kind of running the show.
right. Well, and I've
Yeah,
even had some elementary kids that like the our basketball coach here, I give him like workout cards in the summer. His boys are like fifth and third grade, and they want to go out there and lift with him.
hmm
Like there is definitely interest here in our school, and that's why also I want to do this because I did this a little bit in my freshman class last year, and just getting them that little bit of exposure. I had a couple girls join that I would never have thought in my life would have joined elective weight training class
yeah, yeah,
so and they even came in the summer, which was amazing because that's not required. You don't have to do that. They wanted to be there. They wanted to live. So I want to give it a little more exposure and almost make it like a school wide thing. So that's also one of the reasons why I want to try to implement this to get them back there, let them see what it's about. I've even had a couple kids look at our board like, hey, what's a hang clean? What's this? So I want that. And like I said, school wide would be great.
yeah. I think with that at that age group, the main part, I mean, it's weight training. It's real. This is really for anybody. I really shouldn't just say for that age group. But if you're choosing weights that are slightly out of your comfort zone, slightly,
Yep. Yep.
it's it's what we do in every other part of our life. The whole point of
Hmm.
getting better is you got to do something that's a little harder than what you normally do. If you want to change, you have to do something a little bit different, right? There's a quote that says if you want to achieve what you've never achieved, you have to do what you've never done.
Right.
And and that doesn't mean you have to go crazy and train like Rocky Balboa. You don't have to
No.
train to failure or anything. It's just getting out of your comfort zone.
Yep.
And the other element for younger kids or beginners at any age is that I think weight training is an excellent form of training coordination and balance
Yes.
and flexibility.
Yep.
I'll tell young kids if their squat doesn't look right, I'll just tell them all the squat is a stretch for you. I want you to
Hmm.
find a weight that helps you get to the low end of the squat in a safe posture and
Hmm.
just learn to live down there. Learn to open up your hips and move in a full range of motion. And the weight's going to help you. I mean, if you do a goblet squat with 25 pounds, that's a that's an easier squat sometimes than doing a super low body weight squat because it
Hmm.
counterbalances you and takes you through that full range and teaches them about balance and leverage and all that other stuff. I think it's absolutely necessary, really, to give them the best chance if you're hitting that in seventh and eighth grade.
Right. Well, I know my flexibility definitely got better when we started when I, in high school, you just kind of halfway get the 90 or whatever. But like
Mhm.
I really preach get below 90 because it's kind of flexibility. Because when I went to college, I'm not going to use the term that we were told because it's
Yep.
not, you know what I'm talking
Yeah.
about. So when I started doing that, my flexibility went way up, and I was not very flexible until I went to college, and that was like one of the things I definitely implemented when I got here because there were guys like maybe getting a 90, maybe kind of like three-quarter squat. And I was like, no, 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 no. Get below 90. You don't have to get all the way down, but I want you below 90 because it helps with your flexibility. And at the end of the day, it's going to help develop more muscle than just, getting the 90 and
Yeah.
stuff. So,
There are some good arguments out there for half squats or quarter squats
yes.
because you can
Yes.
put more weight on there.
Yep.
There's man, who did I see? I forget who was saying it, but it was saying that quarter squats are one of the best things to develop speed and leg strength and
Yes.
power. Um, but if you can't do the super low squat,
Mm,
you know, I would at least expect that first, like for injury prevention, right? I mean,
yes.
if you're not available to sprint really fast because you're getting hurt all the time, then
Right.
what's up with that? So I would much rather see a kid measure both things. Hey, I know when
Mm,
I go full down, my full squat is slowly going up 5 pounds here and there, and it's getting better. And my quarter squat's getting better as well. And they both grow at the same time for different reasons. And
yep.
but to leave the full one out, I think is not too smart. I think it's really important to, even if it's just through goblet squats, different philosophies
Yep.
can be fine. But if you're not doing goblet squats to warm up and open up the hips or whatever, I don't
Hmm.
know. I think you're missing out there. So
Yep.
yeah. So you said that your classes, I forget if we said it on air yet, but did it your class schedule with the seventh, eighth, ninth graders?
Oh, so I have them, like I said, yeah, I think we talked about it off or not on here, but it's 50-minute allotted time, but like every PE teacher knows that's usually like 43, 45, really pushing it.
Hmm.
So I got about 43 minutes. And my middle school classes are set up very similar to my elementary. There's a 5 quick minute warm up. Then we do some form of fitness component, whether it's with them, it's normally exercises, and we do like some sprinting stations and plyos and whatever. Like I implement that, and then last, and that the plyo thing's about 10-ish, 15 minutes, and then the last thing is like the sport unit that we're in. So we're just wrapping up like soccer now. Next week we're going to be going to pickleball. So instead of like my fixing the warm up is easy because like my warm up was initially like a little bit of skill development, like for instance, soccer, pass back and forth in 5 minutes. That's the warm up, super simple. But like now, if when I implement this next week on Monday, the warm up is going to be well, we'll go back to weight room. We're doing overhead squats, like the warm up movement that you have. That's our warm up. Get the timer running, you hit the clock, and we're going. So, um, I'm just like I said, just trying to figure out the most efficient way to do this. There's some kids that have basic knowledge of what to do. Some kids have never touched a weight in their life,
Mhm.
so they're obviously gonna have to do modified stuff. But I'm just trying to figure out how I would structure this, and like we talked a little bit reps and sets, and how to emphasize certain things each day. Because like I said, 3 days a week versus five now. So
Right. Yeah. So I think the first thing, like you were talking about, every minute matters so much. And, for them, I, I think, like you said, like that passing warm up, that kind of thing. I think for that age, you can trim that out and turn the warm up more towards the fitness side.
oh yeah,
You know
yep,
what I mean? Because by the
yep,
time they're hitting that grade level, there's I don't want to say there's two types of kids, but basically there's kids who are already playing more sports, right? I'm sure they're playing more organized sports, whether it's a school team or a rec team or whatever, and
yep,
they're getting better at it. And they're probably having longer practices that focus on those skills.
yep,
And in a 3 day a week, 40-minute class, I my personal perspective, I'll hear any disagreement with it, but I would just want them to just get reps in a game situation. Make the game small sided. Maybe say, hey, we're going to do 2-on-2 soccer or 3-on-3 soccer, so everybody gets touches.
right,
But I wouldn't worry about the cone drills and the passing back and forth because it just
yeah,
doesn't simulate the game. I think you work backwards with that. Like, let's say you got a seventh grader who, um, hasn't figured out what sport they love. But Coach
hmm,
Nick is hanging out with them 3 days a week and they're doing soccer. And Nick made it so much fun. And we mixed in a little fitness with it. And then we just played some games. Like, I might join the soccer team now. That's the order I think is more common rather than like trying to piece it together like I've heard it like Frankenstein's monster. Like you can't it's tough to put just the skills together and then go to the game. Like it just the best people don't really do that. They play the game a ton and
yep,
then they use what they know from the game to make little tweaks off to the side in their training.
right,
You know what I mean? I don't know anybody who's really good at something that doesn't just go play all the time, right? Think about a
right,
basketball player. The best ones I know, they go to the park and they play for 8 hours. And
hmm,
when they're on their own, I'm sure they have little things they're going to work on. But if they have a choice between playing in a game situation, a dynamic situation, or just practicing on their own, they're going to want that dynamic situation. So
right.
short answer, sorry for the long talk, but
You're
I would
good.
say pushing a few more of those minutes towards the things that they don't have access to the same way. If you're starting to teach them more complex movements, more complex strength movements, things that whether they're actually dangerous or not, they're dangerous on paper, and you have to, you know, defend yourself too, and take care
Right,
of. You have to make sure that if you're teaching a kid a new skill that involves weight, you they should see that you're investing a lot of time into teaching that.
hmm,
Whereas, you know, soccer cone drills or practice, just kicking back and forth is something they can do on their own, and no one's ever going to question that as a dangerous activity.
right,
You know what I
yeah,
mean?
yep.
So that would be my thought there. Um, and you were saying what else were the main concerns that you had there as far
So
as how
like
to
how like it's very similar to my elementary. So like they do like a push-up test, they do a sit-up test, they
Mhm.
do broad jump, vertical, 10-yard flies, and stuff like that. Which does the speed car yeah, yeah, it's all male. I'm just looking at it. It's all male and all female, right? Like K through
yeah.
like however old,
Yeah,
like high school mostly.
for my middle school cards, I just have it universal. And just because you don't know if the girls are going to hit some crazy growth spurt, um, I just leave it all there anyway. Because on the speed side, I still haven't met anybody that reaches the very highest levels. Uh,
Right.
I haven't had anybody really do that. So
Right. Okay. Because that's, I mean, like I said, that I think is going to be easy enough. Because like we do some of that stuff already. Like I might have to have you send me that so I can like change a thing. Because like we can't do 40-yard dash.
right, right, yeah,
um, but like the 10-yard start, 10-yard fly, we could do that. I might cut the shuttle. Like I said, I like to do the reactionary. Like I said, look into Scott Leach. He's got some good stuff.
yeah. No, I definitely have to look into
Um,
his stuff.
right? Because at the end of the day, are we timing who can go back and forth zigzag? No. Are we reacting though? Yes. So
Yeah.
when I heard him say that, I was like, God, he's 100% right. So that stuff I think can be easily implemented because, like I said, we have like a speed week once a month. So like we could do like our time stuff, but then like when we do like the 10-yard start, that could be something we practice the following week for like a speed development. And then like our jumps are a separate week as well. And then the truck stick thing, I don't know if the girls are gonna like that as much, but I think the boys will. I've already talked to some of the boys about it.
Yeah, I've always made the truck stick optional. So for people that
Yeah.
don't know what the truck stick is, there's a few different ways to calculate it. And now was that Coach Mueller's thing originally?
Yep. He
So
pioneered that, and then I think it was Titan Sensors,
mhm.
really, because they've sponsored one of the podcasts that Tony Holler's doing. I believe they took it and ran with it as well. So I think Mueller probably should have trademarked that thing.
Yeah, I know. But I love it because it's such a simple concept. Um,
hmm
but I do like it for any sport that involves collision or contact or creating space with your body.
Right.
And so again, the basic way that I do it for the truck stick, I tried to simplify it as much as possible. Is you find one event, keep it consistent. If you can do the 10-yard fly, I think that one's the best.
Yep.
But if you have to do the 10-yard start or you want to do the 20-yard dash, like it really doesn't matter as long as everybody competing has the same deal. And all you do is you take the weight and you divide it by the time. And
Yep.
whatever you weigh, divide it by your time. And so in my using the 10-yard flies, usually you'll end up with scores that are something like anywhere from 80 to 220, is how I
Mm.
do it. We used to do something where we divide it by 10, so we had it in the thousands, and then I was like, we don't really need to do that. So
No.
we just go weight divided by our time. And I always make that one optional. So it's, if
Right.
and we'll start talking about different positions in sports, like what's your job? Your
Right.
job to perform in sports, and we just say, hey, your dash time or your fly time is the measure of how well you run away from people, how much you can separate. Your truck stick stat is how well you perform when you're running at somebody who's also running at you.
hmm
Doesn't guarantee anything, but it's a pretty good stat, for a kid
Right.
who's playing fullback or a kid who's playing power forward in basketball, male or female.
Right.
If a girl knows that, hey, I'm a little underweight. If you do whatever measurements, if it's body fat testing, they can do that on their own at that age. But
Yep.
if it's body fat testing, if it's measuring their waist for waist to height ratio, those kind of things, there's ways to tell that, hey, I could perform better and probably feel better if I put on 5 to 10 pounds and my truck stick would go up, which gives me a
Right.
better number.
As long as it's like good weight and stuff. And as we were talking, I noticed I don't have the truck stick on the football card, so I definitely got to add that.
Yeah, no
That
doubt.
I think again, I just heard so much success stories, like again, whether it's Mueller or even like Brad Dixon's posted a couple things of how much they love that the most. That's like the most thing that they worry about because like it evens out just football specifically evens it out for like the big guys because
Yeah,
they're not going to be able to run under four or whatever, but they can create a lot of momentum.
yeah,
You know,
exactly.
so I just realized that I got to add that before I get my football one out
Yeah, and
there.
you might have a better idea. I have the general truck stick stuff on the general standards for high school and middle school. Um, but I don't have it specifically by position. That might be a
Right,
good little project to take a peek at. So
right,
yeah, for right now, I just use it as a general thing. But
right.
um, so yeah, and then we got about 10 minutes left. You wanted to talk about the implementation, like the order of the lifts and that kind of stuff at the middle school level.
Yeah. So and like again, I'm very much the structured guy. I like to see the sets and reps and stuff. Like for instance, like what days should we focus on what? How often should I do this? Should I do it every week, every 2 weeks? Kind of what we talked about the elementary. And then I think the movement menu probably will take care of some of my questions, like kids who can't necessarily do like deadlift. Well, what
Mhm.
can they do? Well, they can do like a dumbbell RDL for now and then eventually progress and stuff like that. So mainly, like I said, reps and sets. The order I'm not, I guess, too worried about because, like you said, I like what you say where the kids can kind of work through it at their own pace and whatever's available. But maybe like kind of what we talk about Saturday, like how you do like your little superset thing
Yep.
that you're talking
Sure.
about. That would be probably the most ideal for me in my situation, like how to do it. So,
Yep. So however you decide it, right? If you have we have six main lifts that we talk about,
yep,
and whichever one or two that it's decided that those are going to be the big things, I usually tell kids that's the home base. So let's say I'm just going to measure deadlift that day. You're just talking about deadlift. Hey, I'm going to focus on deadlift because I can't measure everything in one day. When you come to deadlift, I'm going to talk a little bit more technique and I'm going to make sure I've seen everybody deadlift today. Obviously, I'm going to be scanning the room for safety and I want you to be careful, but I want deadlift to be your home base. So it could be something where you say, hey, here are the three exercises we're doing. It could be deadlift, squat, and overhead press or something like that.
yep,
What I'll tell kids a lot is I'll say deadlift is the home base. So make it sort of an alternating superset. So do a set of deadlift, go do a set of squat, come back to deadlift, do a set of overhead press, come back to deadlift. You know,
right,
so they know clearly that there's one area that you're really evaluating that day.
yep,
Just like in school when they're talking about the essential questions and the main idea of the day or whatever, it makes me feel a lot more um, like sane, knowing that I know in the last 2 weeks I've done a good check on those deadlifts.
mm,
And I never left any of those exercises out. But I also can't check everybody's form at every second either. So it's like I need to know early in the semester, especially, I have definitely focused on each one at different times,
mm,
and I know that they're told to make everything else a warm up or super light or whatever it is. You're not going
right,
heavy unless I'm right next to you, or even medium at the middle school
mm,
level. So that's how I do it a lot. Is we'll pick whether it's a normal rotation early in the semester to make sure I hit everything, and then as the year goes, I'll find a major weakness in a class. Hey, this class is really struggling with shoulder mobility in their overhead press, so we got to make sure no one's pressing out in front of them. Or this
right.
class really struggles with the rack position in a front squat. Or this class, like most classes, struggle with the coordination of a clean.
Oh
So
yeah,
there could be times where, hey, this is so clearly a red flag that guys, we're going to hit this again. We're going to hit this at least twice this week,
right,
or we're going to do this until you guys feel like you're getting enough help. Put it on yourself and say, hey, you guys look like you're kind of struggling with cleans. You tell me when to switch. Otherwise, we'll keep making clean the main focus until
mm,
until it smooths out. You know what I mean?
right,
So again, it's like there's ways to make it organized and to have a plan, but without a lot of stress. Like because it all works as long as you know over the course of a week or 2 weeks or whatever rotation you come up with,
right,
you've checked everything off the to-do list.
right,
And you have that list, you know what you have to rotate through. But does the order of it need to take up a lot of your brain power? Probably not.
right.
As long as they get done, I think it's regular practice. If we were teaching them instruments, if we became music teachers and we had to teach three different instruments, well, what
Yeah,
would we do? I mean, if we have to put on a concert in 2 months, we're gonna make sure we have a rotation of all three. And if one
right,
of them's brutal, we're probably gonna put more time into that,
right,
because we want to look good, we want to sound good. So
right,
that's kind of my theory is just kind of look for the biggest holes in the boat. And there's never anything wrong with telling kids, hey, common sense. If you did this lift yesterday, right? You went home and lifted with your dad, or you and your buddies went to Planet Fitness or whatever. If you did this lift yesterday at anything more than a warm up, I want you just working technique today. Like use
right,
it as a stretch, use it as a whatever. You just did it yesterday. It's not wrong to do a lift 2 days in a row. I don't think that that's wrong. Um,
right.
but you
Just
got to
different
go.
intensity. Just
You
different
have to
intensity.
change the intensity. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And that's, I mean, mo most of the time I'm telling kids, don't get sore. I want you to stop when the warning light is on so you can go to practice or you
Right.
can go, you know, if you have a game later on that day, like, especially when they're young, we have so much time. It's like investing in the stock market. Like, if you invest when you're young, you don't have to do anything crazy. You don't have to take crazy risks.
Right.
You have 3, 4, 5 more years than a kid that doesn't join till sophomore, junior year of high school.
Right.
And what comes natural to you when you're older is going to be like a pain for them.
Yep.
So, so that would be my thought there. If there's anything I didn't say clearly, let me know too, because I can hear how
Okay.
long I can talk sometimes.
Um, should I just do like basically what you only got like 3 minutes?
Yeah,
Should I implement this very similar to what I'm doing with like elementary, just add it into what I'm doing?
I would.
Okay.
Yeah, I would
Okay.
start there and then just know maybe that first cycle takes you a month because
Yep.
you have other things you're doing. You got to see if any of these new things are these glaring issues that you want to add to the major lineup. You like it's like a baseball lineup. You can only fit 9 people into a lineup. So try someone. Maybe you substitute something out for a little bit and
Yep.
give it a little trial run. See if it's a glaring issue. See if it fits into your schedule.
Right.
And you talked about the movement menu earlier. If they're if they're doing if they're pushing and pulling with their upper body, if they're
Yep.
hinging and squatting with their lower body, and then with their full body, they're doing something really hard. I just call it work.
Yep.
And with their full body, are they playing on a regular basis, whether it's sports or tumbling or whatever?
Hmm.
You're doing it right. They're not going to be able to scientifically reach into their, and do a scan of whether everything's working perfectly.
Right.
But you have a pretty good
Perfect.
idea that it's working.
Okay. Um, okay. I think that's everything. If you want to wrap this up, because we got a minute 40 left.
Yeah. And we don't have to solve everything all at once, but middle school PE is an area that I think is so untapped
Yep.
because those kids a lot of times they get stuck in the bigger schools,
Yep.
they get stuck in games of, 40 person, 20 on 20 badminton or something. It's like
Yep.
it's so brutal. And it's not fair to the teachers either, because usually that's where they get dumped and it's just a big class and whatever. But
Yep.
there's so many little ways where I feel like we could fit in, whether it's supersetting it with the skill development or rotating in and out of games,
Right.
whatever it is, there is a place for seventh and eighth graders and probably fifth and sixth graders, like we talked about,
Okay.
to start some of this strength training. So, um, yeah, if any of this interests you, people out there, if you want to join us, we have a community. We have a course at foundation-strength.com. And yeah, it's awesome. We're starting it with small schools and overwhelmed coaches and PE teachers and anybody who just needs the justification to simplify what they're doing. And I think it can be a lot easier than we think. So reach out, email me at coachjackbyrne@gmail.com or visit foundation-strength.com. And yeah, I think that'll take care of it. We'll talk more middle school PE very soon. Thanks, Nick.
Yep. Thank you.